Hey, how's it going? It's Grant.
And Shelby.
And today we're going to be talking about just about everything that we got to do before the end of the year, before the end of the month, just the stuff on our to-do list. Also, happy Veterans Day. We spent the day at my grandpa's house. My grandpa is a veteran, and I tried to fix his generator. I failed. I will not be buying that generator. I was hoping that I could get it going, replace the spark plug, clean the fuel catch drain, replace the carburetor, topped off the oil, just about did every brand new battery. It just would not get going again. So that is not the generator I would recommend. And so I told my grandpa, I'm sorry, couldn't get it going. But I'm going to take it to a small engine repair shop and see what they had to say about it. Maybe it's just something very small and minute, or maybe it's electrical, and that's why I couldn't figure it out. So it is a push to start, not one of the old school ones. So also on top of all of that, we do have our Black Friday sale. Everything is buy 5, get 2 free. A lot of our shrimp are drastically reduced in prices, and it is pretty much our best deals of the entire year. We also had a great speaker this past weekend at the Petco Aquarium Society. Kapil did his talk on swimming with the discus. It was jam-packed with a lot of knowledge, a lot of photos. My favorite photos were not just the full-size beautiful, healthy, wild discus in all the different varieties and like morphs that occur naturally, but also the discus that had bites from the piranha, but then recovered and healed over to show how resilient the fish are, and all the locations of where they were actually catching discus and where he thought that there would be discus and how he was wrong and how he selects his discus and stuff like that. So it was really interesting. It was also funny because the last 2 talks that Shelby and I have listened to have been a discus talk, because we are at the Carolina Aquatic Workshop for the banquet dinner. The talk was also on discus from Christine. So it was, I don't know. I definitely want to get back into having more discus. So Frank said the TGO. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not the TGOE. The Petco 50% tank sale is on. I already was aware of it. Told Shelby we need, I think, 7 more tanks. And then we've got to finish setting up 9 more tanks. And that'll get us to 500. I'll be talking about that a little later. So tonight is also your night to ask us any questions. If you need any help or anything with your aquariums, anything like that, we can help you walk you through it. Definitely here for you today. We don't have any just topic tonight. We've been super busy catching up from shows, and with Kapil in town, there's also a Repticon. So it was Myra's first Repticon. Had to refrain myself from buying a couple of turtles, from buying some Cayman lizards. There wasn't anything that we absolutely had to buy there. We were there to get more supplies for Layla's chameleon cage. We went ahead and scaped a couple tanks for Zoomed at Aquashella in return for some supplies for her cage. We did, however, shop around a little bit, try to figure out what kind of chameleon Layla actually wants, and I think she just wants blue and purple. I think those are the 2 requirements. There's 2 different morphs of chameleons that could possibly produce those 2 colors. So we have one pretty much, I think, a female that we are definitely going to buy, and we can pick it up at the Repticon in Orlando next month. There's also a reptile show in Houston next month. It's also an aquatic reptile show, both of them together. And so we'll probably walk around the reptile side and see if there is any chameleons available there as well. So it just depends when in February Skipper is coming down. The beginning of February, we are going to a show. And then we also have our Florida State Fair. Thank you. Aquarium Beautiful contest. So as soon as we get back, we basically get home and unload and then pack up the car and stuff it with as many aquariums as we possibly can. Means January we'll be spending the entire month scaping and getting ready, so we don't have time at the Florida State Fair to scape like we usually do. And then it's also Valentine's Day and our anniversary that month, so it is a little busy that month. So it all depends on when he's coming down.
Not like I haven't skipped our anniversary before. It's fine. Johnny said, Grant, how many tiger species of shrimp are in total? Looking to get more into tiger shrimp.
So just off the top of my head, we've got orange-eyed blue tigers and all the different varieties of those. You got blondes, royals, just normal blues. You got black tiger, orange eye. You got black tigers blue tigers with the rusty. I'm not going to count those that many different varieties. You got tangerine tigers, aurora blue tigers, cheetahs. You can have red aurora blue tigers or red serrata. You've got red tigers. You've got red tiger blue body. You've got orange-eyed red tigers. You've got orange-eyed red tigers with blue body. You've got orange-eyed blue tigers with red stripes. Galaxy tigers and leopard tigers, stardust, raccoons. Ooh, I know I'm missing some. That's at least 23. Super tigers, the hummels. So that's 25 different varieties. We got super tigers available. I don't know if they're on the website or not. I might have added them. I can't remember what I did now. If not, they should be. If you're looking for super tigers, just send us an email and I'll make sure those go up on the website, along with the ocean blues. Those should be on the website this week, sometime this week as well. So we still got a couple of strains of endlers, guppies, and some rabbit snails still hanging on outside. Just checking the weather. It seems like I've got until next Saturday or next Friday. It drops down to 55 degrees, but the water temperatures probably won't get that low. But then it gets warm again. So I'd say for the next 10 days, I can still slowly drag my tail and get most of the fish and everything inside. But that is one of my goals to get done here in the next week. Catch everything, make sure it's all inside. I do want to leave a couple of things out there just in case we do have like a really mild winter, and then survival of the fittest. Whatever does survive will be more cold tolerant moving forward. So our crown tail orange guppies survived last winter outside. It did freeze a couple of times, but it wasn't what I consider a really harsh winter. Is significantly mild. Did you have something to say? No, that's where you're about to say something. We are back on the road to 500 aquariums. It is officially one of our goals again. We got a bunch of lights from Scaping the Fluval booth at Aquashella. They're really nice, really slim lights. And the best part about them is they're 48-inch, so we can double up on them to go the entire 8 foot across the rack, because they are Shelby's racks. I don't mind when Shelby, got to move your head just a little bit this way. When the tanks aren't fully covered with the lights like they are over there, it drives Shelby nuts. I like to throw some Sawasser or a couple of other minute light growers in the corner tanks, and they do just fine, and they never really have any algae. But it is really hard to see the shrimp and cull them and work on them. So I do end up having to use like the Go Docks and a lid on top of the aquarium to try and cull the shrimp or catch the shrimp on those corner tanks. So it would be nice to have 8-foot lights. They don't sell them that big, but the 4-foot lights wouldn't work behind us because it would end up taking out too many outlets. So the 6-footers right now are the best we could do. Eventually, we'll figure out some type of light that daisy chains together, and we could fill out the stand a little bit nicer. Did somebody request the baby?
No,
Oh.
her eyes were open, so
Okay.
I thought she'd see herself, and she didn't. No interest.
But we do have pretty much everything we need for the system now that we got the lights. We've got plenty of substrates. Shelby hasn't decided quite yet what she wants to do, like the style or like what kind of substrates she's going to do for each row. I'm trying to convince her into like just take it slow and do like a 28 days of Christmas where you scape a tank for every day of like this December leading up to Christmas, and then or 36 days, so you start slightly before December and go all the way through the year because there's 36 of them.
We're traveling.
Do one a day. I mean, we could skip the days we're traveling. You can double up. You can double up before we leave. I don't know. I think that would be really awesome. It is a lot of work though, and all of my ideas and require a ton of work, and it's not always the best idea.
It's not a bad idea. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah. And then I don't know if we talked about this last week. We brought home our fluval scape tanks that we did at Aquashella. They were like, hey, let us know if you want to keep your tanks. And I was like, you should have let us know like a week ago so I could have drove the truck over here. And I had to ask a bunch of our good friends if they would be willing to help take back some of the supplies. Crypt Keeper brought back all the filters and lights and a bunch of extra stuff. But Ryan brought all of the tanks and rock that was in the actual aquariums. So we ended up having Ryan drive those over to the house this Saturday, unloaded all of the rock. We have like 3 pallets on the side of the house. They are all now above the knees high on the amount of rock that we have to get scaping and everything like that. That's why I was like, Shelby, we should scape an individual tank every day because we've got a lot of it. And we got the tanks situated and on the rack as well. So now I just have to build a stand. I'm probably not going to get to building the stand until we get done with Houston, but definitely looking forward to getting that all done and ready because I only have 1, 2, 3, 4 more stands that I could possibly do in the house. Maybe 5 if I really wanted to put one right there. What do you think, Shelby? A stand right there or no stand?
No.
Okay, no stand it is.
There is a stand that could be built for the bathroom, though. For
the bathroom?
Yeah, so it's not on the counter.
Shelby keeps getting, even our guest recently was like, hey, I found a problem with your bathroom. And Shelby's probably like, oh, God, the problems never stop. And then he's like, there's no tank in there. And Shelby's like, we had a tank in here, but it was too small for the mud skipper and it needed an upgrade. So went into the garage.
Beauty and Bud said, I don't see any rabbit snails on your website.
So the rabbit snails do not ship very well in colder temperatures. I could arrange for it on an email to be shipped overnight if you want to use overnight shipping and PayPal. We can make that work. I'll throw in a heat pack to make sure the snails make it, but what was that look for? We don't have heat packs, so we'll have to order them, but it's something we can arrange. But we prefer to ship the rabbit snails in the spring through the fall, and then we just cut it off in the beginning of last month or the middle of last month. I can't remember now. You just missed it.
If you're not following us on Facebook or Instagram, I would suggest doing so because we obviously don't post on YouTube like we do on there. To let you know when we cut something off like that, Sulawesi and rabbit snails, because they are warmer, we usually take them off the website so we don't have to deal with all that and have to worry or stress the animals out. But that's like the only place you'll see it, so you must have missed it. Robert Downey Jr. said, "Is Brightwell still your go-to substrate?"
Yeah, it still is. I've never had any issues with it. I've got a couple of bags put in the garage that Shelby will be using on the new rack to set up for probably her Red Galaxy Pintos and a couple of her Snow Whites and stuff like that. But it is.
You still have Brightwell?
Yeah, I got bags for
Nice.
the new. I mean, like I said, we've got pretty much everything we need for the new room. Just debating on whether we could upgrade the filters and go with the Aquarium co-op ones, and just the time to get it all together. I think it's more important for us to run through the house and get the water changes done first before we start filling up those tanks in there.
It's the Mud Skipper on the want list. They are really awesome. Just got to get them from a good source too. They're hard to find. They're hard to come by now. They used to be so easy. You used to be able to just walk into like our local pet store and they'd have them, but they're kind of harder to find now.
They were at one of the shows that was it Aquashella, or was it a pet store that we had just seen them?
Recently?
Yeah.
I don't know recently. I only remember back in the day when we'd go to our local pet store and they had them all in that tank. There was like 30 or 40 of them in with like little turtles and.
I think there was somebody at Aquashella that had them.
Sorry.
I think
My
somebody
son
bought
broke
them.
my glasses this weekend. If you can't tell, they're like extremely.
weekend.
Is it last weekend
Yeah.
already? They're extremely slanted on my face. I still can't fix them. They're like a plastic frame instead of like the metal ones I could bend back. So bear with me as I take them on and off because they're driving me crazy. Have a good night, Frank. Southwest Florida Aquatic says, so what about customers that don't do Facebook, etc.? Then it just won't be on the website. Maybe in the future I'll have like where you can see it at the beginning so you don't have to search for it or something.
Search
but
for what?
When we make announcements,
Well,
like
we did make announcements also on the YouTube here several times.
they're in our live streams.
Yeah, so
Some
we pretty
people
much
miss
do it
those,
on all
too.
of our socials, but yeah, it's not really posted anywhere on our website that it's last chance or anything like that. So
maybe next year we'll get a little bit better on announcing it, like the cutoff date, so that people can get prepared for it. So.
Did I see something about Jeff Kane coming down to Florida too?
No.
It was pretty
when
far
someone's
up
talking
there,
to other people, and
you were in the middle of talking,
it.
and I didn't want to interrupt you, and I forgot about it, and then I saw Jeff Kane again, and I remembered.
Snail mail is your option. Justin said, what type of, I'm assuming them in Caridina shrimp, do you guys have besides the tangerine tigers that would be able to live with Neo Caridina? I've got a couple tanks with a 150 TDS and a 7 pH.
So Yellow King Kong, Stardust, Raccoon Tigers, the Orange-Eyed Blue Tigers. Next month we'll probably maybe Aurora Blue Tigers are already on the website. I probably let go of some Aurora Blue Tigers now. And then Red Tigers are probably like a month away. I can see a bunch of little babies on the side of the tank right now. I don't know how the other tank is doing. So I just know when walking around with Tim, the house was doing really well. There's a lot of shrimp. I just don't remember what tanks were doing ideally great for being sold or not. And then we have we got it set up this week. Our 500 gallon per day RO unit. So I also got a bunch of fittings and everything like that. But I pretty much learned so much about RO units. I couldn't figure out before why my last RO unit, I replaced all of the filters right after Aquashella Chicago, even the DI membrane, or not the DI membrane, the DI cartridge, but also the membrane and all the other filters for the whole cartridge of the RO unit. And within 2 months, the entire TDS of the unit had gone from 0 to 100, and I didn't really notice until it was too late, and I'd already done a water change, and that's why you always gotta kind of check your parameters. But I was just kind of flowing through the house, and the way I do things is I have my mix, and I just checked just to make sure, even though I usually don't, and the TDS was off by a good 70 TDS, and it was too high. And then I ran over and checked the RO water, and it was coming out at 100 TDS. So mixing with some of the good water, it wasn't quite that high with what I was mixing into the aquariums, but some pH probably got into the tanks. I don't know when or what happened when it happened exactly, but pretty much because of the hurricanes, I think our water treatment facility took some preemptive measures, and they dumped a bunch of chlorine into the system, and the chlorine probably exhausted all of the carbon, and the chlorine will eat through the membranes, and then once the membranes are toast, the DI is going to exhaust itself trying to pull out any impurities that it can, right? So I basically tanked through my filtration system. I should have probably replaced the carbon filters every month. Instead, I was doing every 3 to 4 months because there's not a lot. Honestly, there's usually not a lot of chlorine in our water at all. I'm able to do pretty big water changes on the pool without having to add any prime or anything like that. So it's not something that we're used to here, but because of the hurricanes, it was probably they did a double dose while I was doing all my water changes to make sure the house was good for the hurricanes, good for Fritz. So instead of relying on the smaller carbon, pre-carbon before the RO membrane and everything like that, I went ahead and upgraded to one of the giant towers. That was a bit of a learning curve. Me and Shelby had never done that before. I honestly thought they were just filled up with carbon, but reading the directions, it's like fill them up with pea gravel, and I'm like, pea gravel? Are you sure you read that right, Shelby? And I was like, pea gravel or peat gravel? Like, what are we talking here? And she's like, no, pea gravel. There's no T involved. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'm just making sure this is unknown to us. And then not only that, but we hook it up in reverse. So that threw me off. That was a little bit of a learning curve altogether. But because of that big tower now, I don't have to rely and replace it that often. I see Jeremy at least 3 times a year. He's also here in Florida. I'm sure if we do some Reefapaloozas or stuff like that, I'll end up seeing him more next year. So every time I see him, I will just grab the filtration cartridges or whatever I need when we meet up. So it's really convenient for me. But Jeremy at Aqua FX, really the customer service was above and beyond. When he's not on vacation, he is there for you and walked me through just about everything and explained it all. So when he explained it, I was like, so wait a second. Now, at the end of the system, there should be no chlorine in the wastewater, and I can use that and run it outside to my Neocaridina shrimp. And he's like, well, they don't want to, use anything wastewater for animals or anything like that. And I'm like, well, I wouldn't really be considering it water. I would be considering it filtered out of the chlorine and chloramines that would be going into the system, and just has more than enough minerals for what we're looking to do. So I haven't tested the exact TDS coming out of the wastewater or anything like that. Maybe I can even just cut it with a little bit of tap water to get it low enough, or maybe it's going to be the perfect TDS. But when I explained to Jeremy what I wanted to do, he also hooked me up with a bunch of extra line and a bunch of T's and a little adjuster valves. And basically my thought process is run the line out the side of the house, down all the IBC totes on the other side of the house, not where the greenhouse is, and line them all up and have just a little bit of overflows with little sponges so the shrimp don't go anywhere, and they'd pretty much be on a constant flow overchange system because of how often I run the RO system. So with like a 3-to-1 ratio with 3 gallons of wastewater to 1 gallon of RO water, they're pretty much going to be getting 3 times the amount of water that the entire house is getting anyway. So I'm really looking forward to see what the Neo production will look like on that side of the house, since we're not using any of that side of the house right now. So we could potentially be producing twice as many Neocaridina next year without any of the work.
Do you always pronounce potentially really weird like that? Potentially?
Botanicals.
Botanical. It's the any word with an O. It's the BOPO.
Listen, my dad had a funny accent. Your mom,
Botanicals.
say ketchup.
Man, that's more.
Say
that's
breakfast.
More southern than I am.
I don't care. My dad is more southern than anything, so I don't care.
It's not a southern accent, though.
It's a New Zealand as southern as the equator is, and yeah.
Tank Girl said, this might be a question that's too long for chat, but how do you start a fish club? There's nothing really less than 2+ hours away from me.
So any question right now is a great question for chat, no matter how long it is. It's just maybe not the best question for us. We haven't really started any of our own clubs. It's actually something we've looked into just recently. We know that the president of our current club is who got the nonprofit up and running and everything like that. So I do think that is a key thing. And wherever you live is going to be slightly different. I think it depends on county, it depends on state and whatnot. So figuring out the nonprofit is one of the best things to do and get the club up and running, because when you're looking for like donations and stuff like that to get members wanting, like most of our clubs have little door prizes for members only when you come in. So if you want to be able to get some of the free food or filters or whatever it is for the door prize, you've got to be a club member. So it's a little bit of incentive to pay your $10, $15, or however much it is a year to be a part of that club. And then on top of that, charging the fee and everything like that, you don't want to have to be dealing with the IRS. It's best to just do it in a nonprofit and not worry about collecting funds, because you're eventually going to have to pay for venues and stuff like that. As a small club, you might be able to start it off in somebody's backyard. You might get a local pet store or somebody like that who's willing to host the club. But our club started out in Jose's house. And then when I spoke for them, they had originally told me that there was only going to be 24 people at the club, and there was 48 people there. And I wasn't the reason why there was that many people there. It was just gradually the club was growing and more people heard about it. And it was just evident that that club meeting, we had to move up to a different location. We found a library, and then, like a year or two in the library, we outgrew the library, and we're now at a VFW. Very similar situation with the Tampa Bay Aquarium Club, where they were at like a community center. It was a public park basically that had a little indoor office area that we met up in, and then COVID shut that down. I don't know if they're remodeling or done away with it entirely or what happened to that, but they ended up in a hotel, got too big for the hotel, and they're now in a VFW as well. So then you got to find dedicated people to be a part of the board. You need a treasurer, you need a president, you need a secretary, you need a lot of different things. And like bowl shows, breeders award program, all those other things are all, things you can figure out later, but getting people to join the club Facebook group, probably starting there and making one of those and getting people interested, and then talk about member fees and stuff like that, so you can afford bigger and better events and an auction. Any feedback to that, Shelby? I'm doing a lot of talking, and the baby's asleep, so you ain't got nothing holding you back now. This is Shelby's stream. I might just walk away now.
QJF Aquatics said, when will the next rack build video come out? I do not understand what you meant when you said when you build the second side, you have to do it the opposite way. So explain that first before I keep going.
So the next rack build will not be the same. Like, it won't have, it'll be a totally different style, and it's probably not going to come out anytime this year. I might build the stand this year, but I doubt Shelby's going to get to that video before like January or February. But basically like this, all right? The rack behind me on this side of the rack has 4 tanks, 1, 2, 3, 4. And on this side has 5 tanks. So when you build this leg, if you were just to build the exact same side with the leg on this place, when you put the stand together, you'll have one leg right here, but then you'll have the other leg will be over here, and they're not going to line up. So in order to get these center pieces right here, when you build one side, you build it so that way it's on this side and the support beam is going to be on the right-hand side. And then when you build the other side, you build it so that way the support beam's on the left-hand side. So that way when you put them sandwiched together, they're both on the same side, mirroring one another. So that's why I say build it in reverse. I'm not the best at explaining that. Maybe that didn't even make sense, but I had enough people asking me to build a rack build, so I built it, and I did it, and I'm not the best teacher always. So that's just my video, my excuse on that's how I do them. Hopefully it helped out.
Also, looks like there's an extra board on the corners. I did not see that mentioned in the video.
So the extra board on the corner of the stand is just for the air system, probably. I think that's what you're talking about. If it's,
you maybe take a picture and send it to us after the stream,
yeah,
and then we'll explain that.
Screenshots would be probably the best, and then I could help walk you through it. But maybe in the future, when we have like a filmer and an editor, they can put together the rack build a little bit better. But yeah, I did my best. I'm sorry.
SFWL said, how much wastewater per gallon of RO water you get?
So we're supposed to get 3 gallons of wastewater to 1 gallon of RO water. Yeah.
I got that. Yes. Johnny said, would does that say Cheetos or
no, cheetahs?
Cheetahs and raccoon tigers interbreed with their own kind or not if kept together?
So raccoons and Stardust are the 2 tiger shrimp that I haven't been able to get to cross with anything. So I would be very comfortable crossing them or keeping them together. And if they did cross, you would do something that nobody else has done yet. So it's definitely worth keeping them together.
And then let's see. QJF said, how many different colors of super tigers do you have? What's the difference between super tigers and King Kongs? How many different colors of King Kongs?
All right, so There's only one kind and one color of super tigers. They'll have a little bit of yellow in the face and then the blue tiger stripes. And then the other tigers and varieties and stuff like that, like tangerines and stuff, those are totally different than the super tigers. They're different wild variety species. The King Kongs, you have to be careful because if you're asking what King Kongs can survive in Neocaridina parameters, it's only the yellow King Kongs. They are the Tybees. If you're talking about red and black King Kongs, those are a pure B, and those need very specific water parameters, very low pH, 0 KH, 5 GH, and if you don't have that, then they're barely going to hold on, and they won't breed or have any thriving, surviving. They're not going to look very healthy.
Big Steve had a good point. Says getting people to commit and follow through is the biggest struggle, in my opinion. It is for sure with any of the clubs the biggest problem. I think a lot of clubs in Florida that have closed down was for that reason, is people just not willing to put in the time for it because, you know, it's not really, there's no reward to it. It's really just, I mean, there is if you take it in a positive way on like selling your stuff and like getting to know people, but some people just are greedy and they want to be paid for things like that. And you're not gonna make money. It's not a full-time job, but you have to treat it as one. So it sucks, but you know, most people drive to our club. Some of them are 2.5 hours away. Like Lucas is 2 hours. So is another guy, Robert. Someone just drove probably about 5 hours away to come to our club for just one speaker. It sucks, but sometimes you just try to pick and choose which ones would be the best option for you to go to the meeting and whether it's worth it. Because you don't have to go to every meeting. Some of them, you know, your plants aren't going to do well, your fish are going to do well, but it depends on the speaker, whether it's worth it to you to drive that far or not.
And our club, I don't think would honestly be as strong as it was today if it wasn't for Tony and Kevin, the president and vice president. They basically make sure everything happens and functions and everything's posted and updated. Our website might not be updated, but that's not really where a lot of our traffic comes from. A lot of our traffic comes from Facebook. So, and we've had a couple clubs grow up from nothing out of a Facebook group. So I would definitely start there. That is the one good thing still that Facebook is good for.
Yeah. Johnny said, a long time ago there was a question on mixing certain types of Caridina shrimp all together in a tank that would not interbreed but only breed with one another.
All right. So we got Stardust, raccoons, Galaxy tigers, leopard tigers, super princess bees, blue bees, and
Leopard tigers?
I think I said those.
Do we even have those anymore?
I haven't seen them available in the United States for a very long time. So these aren't ones that I have. But if you want ones that we have, is Stardust and raccoons. Those cannot crossbreed with any of the other shrimp. And so you can keep those together. You can keep a Neocaridina in that tank. You can keep any of your favorite Caridina species. Like you would be really good keeping a bunch of Taiwan bees because you can keep blue bolts, red bolts, red King Kongs, black King Kongs, shadow pandas, shadow Mizuras. Throw them all in that tank, and they're all just going to breed more Taiwan bees. So you could do all those together, and you wouldn't have to worry about any crossbreeding and culling really. And if you don't like Taiwan bees, you could do Calcios. That would be another good mix. Red, black, blue, and scorpions.
QJF says, how come I never see anyone with a big colony of royal blue tigers or orange-eyed royal blue tigers? Also, if I got a line of black orange-eyed tiger tigers, so just orange-eyed tigers, would they throw royal blue orange eyes as well?
So, part of the reason why I think not a lot of people have the bigger colonies of orange-eyed and royal blue tigers is because the demand is so high. And they're not quite as easy as tangerine tigers and all the other tigers, and people just get lazy. And if you're not on top of your water changes, those are a tiger that can go and get a bacterial infection or have issues molting or something like that. And baby survival rate could go out, they could go stagnant, and they're not a very easy shrimp to get breeding again once they go stale. So you definitely, yeah. So that's part of the reason why you don't see very large colonies. We've got like one colony right now that I would consider pretty decent in size on orange-eyed blue tigers. But even like the import lists and stuff like that, they are very, very pricey when it comes to the orange-eyed blue tigers and royals and stuff like that. So I would say that even for the more experienced breeders and the commercial breeders, that the orange-eyed blue tigers are just not as easy to mass produce. I would say this year I bred more super tigers than I've bred my orange-eyed tigers. And I have way more tanks of orange-eyed blue tigers. The super tigers, I just got the feeding schedule right for them and they've taken off. I did the exact same food schedule for the royal blue tigers and they did not show me the exact same thing. So and yes, if you have orange-eyed black tigers, you can get orange-eyed royals from them. Generally, you don't get too many blondes, but it's possible you could get those as well.
House of Pisces said, would calcias be okay with neoparameters?
Technically, they should not do well in neoparameters. I think that they are one of the shrimp that you could try it out and they would do better than most of the other Caridina shrimp. However, I've never given it a go. What happened?
I think he has a frog on him. It might be a leaf. I'm blind.
I don't know. You scared me to death, though. I thought you did something to the baby. There's a baby frog on him. Oh my goodness! Give me my phone. Oh, your phone over.
It scared the crap. I thought it was gonna jump on the baby because he came over here and he turned and it was a little frog on our dog. There's so many frogs right now in Florida. Someone just posted like what's going on with Florida and they're like walking down a sidewalk and it's like the entire sidewalk just filled with baby little frogs. So
right, let me get them outside. I don't need this frog stuck in our house.
Our kids love catching the lizards and frogs that come in the house, though.
I know I'm going to show it to everybody, and it's going to jump.
Don't you dare!
Oh, it's gone.
Stop!
Okay. Almost on the baby. All right. Stop. I have the frog. It's going outside. I'm not showing nobody.
As you can tell, I don't like anything that jumps. I love frog things, but I literally have a terrible reflex to things that jump and crawl. It's not fun. I had dart frogs for the longest time and I could not hold them. I just admire them. So that's a good thing about dart frogs. It's good to just admire them. You don't need to hold them. He's probably going to go wash his hands. I don't know what else is on his list of what we're supposed to talk about. It's a good thing you don't have kangaroos. See, that one's not like, I don't know. It's mainly towards insects and not so much mammals. Like, obviously, I can take a bunny. Like, that one's fine. But, like, grasshoppers, those make me weirded out. I have to wear, like, when I had to do crickets and take care of them for the chameleons, I would have to wear gloves. Because, like, if one just, like, touched me and jumped, like, it'd make my whole skin crawl. It's so stupid. I don't know where he is on this. He literally wrote down check weather on this list while he was checking the weather too. Didn't think he would actually write down check weather and check weather during the live stream. That's hilarious. I'm outing him on his little notes. More organized than I am, though. I don't know where he was. We already talked about the chameleons at the Repticon. Where were you?
You'll never know. You can't. You think I'm organized. You think I'm
You
organized.
jumped around, didn't you?
I always jump around.
Oh, House of Pisces says jumping spider creeps me out too. See, I think they're so cute, but I know for sure that if I got one as a pet, I would straight throw it or drop it by accident. There's just no stopping that reflex, so it's really sad. Like I even saw them at the shows when I saw the. Obviously, I feel like a little kid because I watched the little Disney short of the jumping spider, and I was like, "Oh, spiders are cute now." It really does help, and I think that is such a great thing for Disney to have done is something just so small like that, but it will make a big impact on the future where people are like so terrified of snakes and spiders. And I hope they do one for a snake and make it cute and cuddly. But yeah, I would totally not be able to have a jumping spider as a pet, and I would never hold it. I would just admire it.
I was talking about the 500 gallon per day RO unit. So we do have to find a new home for the old one. It just needs new DI cartridge and membranes, and it will be good to go. But it was just not working. 200 gallons per day was just simply not enough when I was trying to do more than 50 aquariums. Like, it's hard enough to do 50 tanks. But sometimes I'd like to do some of the bigger tanks, and doing like 36 tanks and then all of our 55 gallon tanks, which is definitely doable in a day. But doing the larger tanks, we run through the water a lot faster. So this access to more water is just going to help me be able to take care of everything. We've already talked about this last week or the week before that Shelby did start her job at Pisces. And it's definitely no secret now. They've pretty much gone and told everybody that we wanted to go and say, and they're like, "Oh, we already heard the news." And it's like, okay. I think the only thing we haven't done really is make a post on Facebook. There's probably a lot of people that don't know.
Well, they'll be making an announcement
in this circle here and at the shows or whatnot. But she's going to be a little bit more busy and preoccupied with stuff like that, where I thought I was going to have her all to myself and the baby and no more West Marine. And I'd have help and whatnot. It looks like I'm not going to have that much help. But the good thing about this weekend was, like, the kids are more excited to help us out than ever. Like, they are 100% down to help us with the shrimp. So it funds to get more things. They saw that we wanted the Cayman lizard. They saw how much the chameleons were and how, like, really expensive the really big ones were, and that, you know, those aren't really in our market, but we can get the smaller ones and raise them up. And then, you know, if you're successful, then one day, Layla, you could have your own little table and sell some of the chameleons at some of these shows too. Like, the person was at Aquashella, they had to have done, you know, decently and sold a few chameleons. There's people that said they got chameleons from there. So, you know, it's definitely something that the kids are more active and more productive on, because it's not just the garden of shrimp, it's the garden of eater, and we're going to be doing a lot more things. So I'll have more time to do that. Shelby will be more focused on her job. I'll have some help from the kids, but if I can do more tanks and get the water changes done more frequently, then I should be able to keep up with everything else just fine.
QJF said, "What are the Carradina shrimp called that are 90% black and 90% red with just a whitish head?"
Missouri.
Are the other colors like this as well, or just the red and black?
It's any there's shadow Misuras, which are black head with blue bodies with a Taiwan bee. I have Missouri yellow King Kongs. The Missouri is just the pattern on the head is different than the color of the body.
And then Rusty said, "I feed my shrimp every day. Is that too much?"
It's as long as your shrimp consume all of the food within the first 2 hours, then then it's fine. I just find that they do a lot better for us feeding them every other day. There should be more than enough biofilm in the tank. However, if you have a lot of shrimp and the tank isn't that big and there isn't enough biofilm, a little food does a long ways every day. For us, our Hummels and our Super Tigers are getting food every single day that I can remember at least. Sometimes I do forget, even though I walk by them every single day. But I have been trying to feed them way more frequently, at least once a day. And at least 5 times a week. And they've been producing numbers to the point where I'm actually considering letting some of the Hummels go after this winter.
House of Icy said, thought those were Santas.
So the Santas are super crystal reds that have the white marking on the face, red bodies, and white marking on the tail. And technically, the face isn't on top of the head, and the Missouri is more talking about the headgear more than the face. One could argue, though, that a Santa would be a Missouri. And then the black and white ones are called Grim Reapers.
Rusty said, thanks for your help. Will you guys be affected by tariffs in the future?
So I think the price of shrimp is going to go up for a lot of the importers and stuff like that. It could create more demand for our homebred shrimp. Even looking at some of the prices on the wholesale sheets now, some of the pet stores could buy our Black Friday sales and save money, get better shrimp, and start selling shrimp for their pet stores. So I could see the demand being higher, and that's definitely a reason why we're trying to set up the ponds on the other side of the house. We get a pet store every single week that is asking for shrimp. Kapil was just at the house, and he does a lot of consolidating for the fish hobby as a whole, and consulting, not consolidating. I'm sorry. And he says shrimp are very hard to come by these days, and that could definitely cause the demand to go up. And if our prices continue to go up, our insurance goes up, and our bills and whatnot, we might be forced to raise our prices a little bit. And shipping is also going to go up too. It's already gone up, and Shelby's already said that we should raise the price of shipping, but I'm holding it in there.
No, the pricing of shipping went up. I raised the pricing of shipping up, and then now it went up again. So we are now again negative on shipping. So we are paying, or you're paying less than what we pay for shipping.
She doesn't like shipping costs either.
No, she doesn't want to hear that.
Yeah, a lot of Kapil's talk was a lot of these fish are really cheap, and what you're spending money on is the water and the shipping, because FedEx, no matter what, they make their money in these deals. So, or not FedEx, but the airports and shipping companies and stuff like that. So yeah, shipping costs definitely suck.
Yeah, we're just gonna try to find something better for us to do for shipping. To help with the costs, because we don't want to raise it up on our customers, and I don't want to make people pay more for shipping. And we're just at a limbo here on how to make that work.
The price of our salts might go up. So if you use the salty shrimp salts, definitely might want to think about, placing an order and stocking up. I know after...
Oh, yeah, that's like the only thing we...
After our Black Friday sales, I'm definitely going to take inventory and check how much salts we have, and if I got a low enough stock and a reason to make a big order, I'm definitely going to do that before the tariffs go up on the salts.
Justin said, would Stardust and Raccoon Tigers interbreed, and would they interbreed with Tangerine Tigers?
They might. I haven't exactly tried Stardust and Raccoons together to really figure that one out, but I don't think they will, honestly. You can give it a go, and you can be the first ones. neither of those will breed with tangerine tigers, though. I know that much because I've tried to breed both stardust and raccoons with yellow King Kongs, and they won't breed with those. And I don't think anything will breed with a tangerine tiger if it won't breed with the yellow King Kong. They're both almost like the same exact shrimp.
Rosie said, "Will yellow neocaridina shrimp breed with tangerine tigers?" Thank
No,
you.
they cannot crossbreed together. They're totally different species of shrimp.
QJF said, "Yeah, that's what I meant. Super crystals. How many different colors of super crystals are there, and are they the same difficulty to keep as pure black line tigers or harder?"
So the super crystals come in black and red, and they have, the different stripes, 1 to 2 stripe and extreme pretty much. And then there's also the super crystal ghost bees, but they're not really a super crystal. I just gave them that name because they look like a super crystal, right? And then the pure black line would be like the exact same care as a super crystal, but the bees, which would be a pure black line, and the super crystals, those require the soft water where the tigers do not. So they are a little bit harder than tigers.
Big Cat said, "Any advice on a good whole tank treatment for Vorticella in a planted tank?"
So I don't have any experience with this. I've seen the recommended treatments for it is to do salt dips and remove all of the molts. I've also heard of Paragard possibly taking care of it. I've heard someone once use dog dewormer or oh man, why did I just fenbenzanol?
Something like that.
I think that's what it's called. You might also want to try no planaria to see if that works. I've wanted to try no planaria to see if it will kill it, but I have not ever had it. Nor do I want it to try to do that. But I would love for somebody else to give no planaria a go. I do know that no planaria is really hard to come by. Oh man, I can't ever remember the name. I'll go grab it.
With what?
The Prince treatment.
Yeah, I know that people usually are good with shipping, but it's getting crazy. We used to be able to have like a better discount where we ship, and the pirate shipping is about the same cost of what we do through PayPal. We did try that. There is something else we could try, but it's like setting up a whole bunch of other stuff. Like we have just the flat rates that we're doing it by because it was just easy and convenient for us to not have to measure the boxes, type all that in, or weigh it out every time we do a package. Because when you're doing 20 of them a day, I don't want to go and weigh every single box. I don't know how much water is going to go into this bag this time or how much is going to go in this one. And we can generally estimate, but it's always a little off. So.
All right. So the Expel P is what was recommended to treat some planaria. I believe it was by
Can you say that one more time?
Expel P.
Thank you.
What did I say?
Expel P.
All right.
It was just.
Anyways, I believe it was Zen Ginger that recommended that you could use this, and she did it with her shrimp tanks, and her shrimp did not die. So
Yeah, it makes sense as a parasitic.
I would also try this out as well.
And I meant pure black line crystals.
They should be the same care then.
Okay.
Back to me.
Mm-hmm.
So new RO unit means more water. I got to find a way to push more water. So we do have 2 more of the Ultra Zero CJ pumps on the way. And this is going to help us knock out a lot more water changes, so that way I can stay on top of everything. I need to actually get with Manny and figure out if we can get the scrapers. I almost bought a Cayman lizard, and then in the back of my mind was, well, I could use that money to buy scrapers and be able to take care of the house quicker and have more free time. So that, I think, is... Oh, she's falling back asleep again. I think is a better use of our money, but we'd also like to sell those on the website, because if we sell those, we could also use that money to pay for more and eventually get them for the entire house. So
Jim said, what is your favorite to cross with orange-eyed yellow King Kongs?
I like the super tigers. The orange-eyed yellow tigers, the ones with the bluer stripes from the super tigers. Like, I have some from crossing black tigers and orange-eyed blue tigers, but they don't look nearly as cool as the ones I'm making from scratch with the super tigers. Already I'm getting some like white striping to them also. So if I can get some like white and blue stripes on some orange eyes, I think that would be ridiculously gnarly. With like a yellow highlight.
That would be cool. Richard said lava soul. It sounds like sounds like a Harry Potter. Laviosa. Okay, sorry. I don't know what that one is. Lava missile.
What did he bring that up for?
To get rid of the Vorticella. I'm assuming. Maybe I'm wrong. Big Cat said, I tried Planaria Zero and it didn't work.
Yeah, I've never used Planaria Zero. And I don't even remember what brand or who makes it or anything like that.
And Richard said, I use no Planaria and it works well. Great for Hydra too. QJF said they're...
I thought that's what Richard broke up, and I was like, oh, I'm going to have more than one use for that, but it's not the same thing. I can't show that in the chat.
QJF says, there are so many Hydra in my shrimp tank. Do you know why I always get so many, or where they come from? Also, do I need to medicate it to get rid of them, or are there more natural way?
The only natural way that I know to get rid of Hydra is Sphinx snails. If you can get your hands on Sphinx snails, that's the way to do it. The only way to do or to get those though is to buy them in state. The only time I've seen them for sale was out of state, and I was like, I want to buy these so bad, but I am not going to break the law and travel and bring these home. So if you can find some Sphinx snails, those will work. How well they work, I don't know. I've always wanted to try it. A dose of Expel P will get rid of them. I know a half dose of No Planaria, if you watch our No Planaria video and do it with that method of turning off the lights and doing the blackout and the water change, that should get rid of your Hydra. But your Hydra are not like seed shrimp. They cannot just poof in your tank magically. They have to be coming from somewhere. So if you're using, a net from a tank that has Hydra, then you might not know it has Hydra. Or maybe it has Hydra seeds on it or stuff like that, and then you keep dipping it in. That's why I say dipping your tools is super important, whether it's 91% isopropyl alcohol or, coral dip or hydrogen peroxide or anything like that. Make sure you dip them in between tanks. We usually try to keep, a net for every single tank, or if there's a same variety, like I use this tank, and I call into this tank, they'll share a net. But other than that, I like to have every single tank with a different net. I can't have a different aquascape tool for every single tank, so we definitely make sure that we clean those beforehand. But the biggest way that Hydra, Planaria, and all these other hitchhikers make it into your tanks is when you buy new plants. A lot of the plants will come from nurseries or local pet stores. And a lot of them just don't know about these pests or don't know that the plants even have them because they're in the tank so fast and they sell out or something like that. So definitely treating your plants is something I preach. I really like the No Planaria as well for dipping plants because it's not very harsh on the plants themselves, where bleach treatments and stuff like that, where it might be enough to kill snails and other things like that, it really does a number on the plants. Where 4 days and like a quadruple dose of no planaria on soaking in some mosses and stuff like that I get for the first time. I've never really had any bad hitchhikers or anything like that. Snails are really, really hard to get rid of, like snail eggs. Sometimes those make even a 4-day dose, but I've killed scuds this way. So definitely got to treat and practice your cross-contamination methods.
They asked also, do you think that a small fish would eat the hydra?
I don't think small fish are going to eat the hydra. I think the smaller the fish, the higher the chance that the fish are going to get shocked and stressed out and potentially even die to the hydra. Hydra can kill and eat baby fish as well as baby shrimp.
Yeah. And then water changes. Do you think they're coming through water changes?
I don't believe that hydra would be like something that would.
You don't think that it
survive,
could be in our tap water?
Not the chlorine.
I don't know. I think we've never had them in our tub. Like so.
I would also look into homemade foods. I've had a couple of people who have come up to me and have mentioned that they think that this homemade food that their friend gave them is giving them. I don't remember if it was hydra or planaria, but I would imagine if somebody was harvesting, I think Mark Shrimp Tanks has a video with like Salvinia minima, and he dehydrates it and turns it and blends it into a blend of other foods and turns it into shrimp food. I've had a couple of people mention that they do this at shows and they make their own shrimp foods and their shrimp love it and da-da-da-da-da. But if you were making it from a tank or a source, like a local pond or something like that, and they have hydra in it, then it could come from the foods. So I've talked with this about the Bloomfields where they think that's a possibility. Not out of their foods, though.
Jason said, for orange-eyed blue tigers, do they still occasionally produce babies with normal black eyes?
No. If both of the parents have orange eyes, then all of the babies come out with orange eyes.
Jesse said Cayman lizard will. Oh.
I just also want to clarify this, though. This is with pure orange eyes. There are different mutations of eye crosses, and I've been talking with Mimic Nature about this, where he did a cross where he thought all of the babies should have come out like 50% orange-eyed, or all the babies should have come out, and they didn't. And I think it's because there's two different varieties of orange eyes sometimes. There's like a yellow eye and an orange eye that are slightly different.
Jesse said Cayman lizards will come eventually. Crazy lizards. Levamusol is a dog dewormer, I believe. And the fenbenzidol. Does he do a wrap? Did I not notice that? That's funny. Some guppies will eat hydra. That's crazy. I'm surprised it doesn't hurt them too, like sting their face.
Yeah, I've seen like full-grown adult shrimp get their legs stuck in like a hydra and a sac from a giba, and like act like they got electrocuted and like tried to get out and get free.
Ashley said I got rid of hydra a few times with no planaria.
Yeah.
I think she's just gassy.
This was just looking right at me. It wasn't helping.
If you feed a lot of brine shrimp, hydra show up sometimes. That makes sense. Maybe.
Maybe somebody should do a test and see if some brands of
where they come from.
Yeah, of brine shrimp do that over other brands. And then the next thing I got on our list is the garage remodel. We had the new fluval tanks come in, and I already got started a little bit on moving things around the garage. But I think 100% after we get back from Houston, before the year is over, I'm going to go through and totally gut the right-hand side of the garage, move all of the tanks over to that side of the garage, and then clear out and gut the other side of the garage and turn that into a little bit of a aquascape gallery, have a little studio spot where Shelby can film and do all of her photography and everything like that for her aquascapes, and work with Pisces. And then it would also give us a little bit of area in that room that we could even do some of the online aquascaping tanks and stuff like that. Even if it's like a rush job and we're like, oh, we've got until Friday to do it. I think we could do it if we had enough space in the garage. We were at Home Depot and we saw these little tables that
So bad.
that would make our aquascaping a lot easier. The tables can raise, so you could, not have to bend over as much and hurt your backs, and make things really easy for us to do a nice little studio. So I think that's one of the things that I'm going to knock out and make a possibility this year. We've got an empty rack in the garage, so it'll help making everything moving off, organizing and sorting everything out. And the only thing I'm really waiting for is the cooler weather. Doing it right now, you're going to be burning a lot more calories just trying not to pass out in the heat. So another few weeks and it'll be nice and cool, and it'll feel like the garage is nice and AC.
Hopefully, it hasn't really got cold after the hurricane, and then it's just been back up in the 80s, 90s. It's been so hot. It hasn't cooled off at the night or nothing. This is the first year, no, probably like the second year where it hasn't felt like there's winter at all.
Yeah, usually it's a little bit cold out on Halloween, and it was brutally warm on Halloween this year.
Yeah, it was miserable. And then, yeah, Big Steve says Hydra 100% shows up when I start baby brine shrimp.
And now that makes me not want to use baby brine shrimp, because you know who else also has issues with Hydra? Jeff, where we just learned how to use all the baby brine shrimp. Yeah, and he was saying that it was causing some of his cories to stop breeding and stuff like that.
Good. Well, yeah, because their eggs.
But I don't want Hydra in my baby nuke tanks.
Yeah, that's true. So Laura said, what does Hydra look like? It is a tiny little thing that sticks to the glass, and they kind of look like little tentacles, almost like a coral and jellyfish-like thing. They're pretty clear, so it's kind of hard unless they kind of cluster up to see just some of them.
You should bring it up. Look it up on Google and pull it up on the lives.
The best way to actually see them in your tank, though, is to go to like the side of it and look down it. It's
down the glass, or look at in between the grooves of sponge filters. That's like the number one place where they usually hang out and hide. Now you gotta show them a good picture. I do not approve of that photo. What'd you type? Just Hydra?
Yeah, I forgot there's actually Hydra.
Type freshwater Hydra. This is the best photo. Not the best, but like without searching forever. No, where did it go?
Goodbye.
Farewell.
There we go. They made us search for this one, but now I got like 20 tabs open, so. This one?
Yep.
Yeah. There we go.
So these guys, and you want to make sure that they're relatively this size with the little antennas to the little stalking thing that goes to the actual wall or filter or whatever that anchors them, right? If the actual tentacles are any longer than this, it looks very similar to staghorn algae. And that is going to be a different monster to get rid of. That I would use Brightwell Razor and Brightwell Razor is going to end up killing all of your invertebrates. It might even kill hydro, to think about it, but not necessarily something you want to do in your tank if you only have hydro.
Mike said there's a green version that's also harder to kill. I don't think we've ever got the green version. And then Jesse said, Grant, did you get new eggs, or are we talking in the future? We have had several new eggs, but we haven't separated them. I haven't seen the ones from them right there.
No, we have not gotten newt eggs from the Lewistic newts, but I've gotten several eggs now from our Spanish, the non, just the wild variety. I just don't have means to take care of the babies and raise them up yet. So we will be getting brine shrimp now that I have. And here's, if Richard is listening, I got the sink all hooked up and running. Everything is working. And the next thing now, honestly, I got to get a booster pump, I think, mounted somewhere in that area for the RO unit so we get a little bit more pressure, because I'm not quite getting 500 gallons a day out of the RO unit. And then once the booster pump is mounted, then I will be getting some brine shrimp and having the brine shrimp hatchery right there, because it is all working beautifully in that little corner on how I wanted it to go. So the brine shrimp will be next. But thank you, Richard, again for helping out with everything. So
cute. And then I can't even pronounce this, if it's guac or guac. It just makes me want to say guac, like guacamole, sir. What are y'all doing in Houston?
There is the National Reptile Expo and National Aquarium Expo held in Houston on the 7th and 8th of December. It's the Saturday and Sunday, the first Saturday and Sunday of December.
Fresh Nugs said, cheers. The Aquashella fluval tank is looking amazing, and the shrimp are thriving. Which tank is that? Is that the one from like the Valley one?
I'm not sure, honestly.
I thought you would know.
I don't know. I assume.
Hello, Stephen P. Which one is that? Because we have a lot of
the one from Dallas
ones at Aquashella.
I think it might be your tank. Honestly.
I had 2 tanks that just went at the last show in Daytona. I almost said Orlando. Daytona, I'm so upset about, because I started all these cool videos for I'm only upset about one of them, really. And there's like no photos of it. No one has photos of it. No one has video of it. And I did this whole cute trend thing that I was like, oh, this is going to be the best video ever. I got to Aquashella. There's 100 things going on. And with my mommy brain right now, completely forgot to take videos of the tank all set up. And I spent like an hour here figuring all that out. I'm just going to have to do it with a different tank. But
and I even told Shelby, I walked away. I was like, I'm going to take photos of our tanks. And then I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I never took any photos.
I got photos of my big tank because I was very proud of it. And then of the kids and all their aquascapes, because I was really happy with theirs. And then, oh man, it's so bad. I was so upset about it. SD Catahula says, my high output booster pump will be here tomorrow. Nice. Fetchnick says, it was the one y'all scaped out in Chicago and purchased some blue dreams and some other type of shrimp. Nice. Chicago. Was that the last one we did? That's your cool one.
But we both did one, so I don't know if it was mine or yours.
I'm assuming with this person's name, it's yours.
Then it's Jason.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Blue Dreams and some other type of shrimp. I'm glad they're doing well, whichever tank. I just love to see that something's doing well. Welcome, Jenna P. when Blue Mind Ecosystems, Ashley, wins the next show after Houston. It's going to be the Aquatic Expo that is in South Carolina, right?
Yes.
No,
North Carolina, near Charlotte.
I don't know my Carolinas still. But wherever that is. Actually, let me just take 2 minutes and go grab the flyer because that show is awesome and everyone's close to that one.
And then Jenna, I saw you were here. I will be making some jambalaya tomorrow night for dinner. The kids were not too fond of the last one that I made. It was a little bit spicy.
Oh,
and the
so
color,
good.
I think, it was a little bit off-putting for them. They didn't like the color.
It was a little dark.
Where I'm used to like having a little darker brown rice, you know.
It was really good. Me and him were like scarfing it up, and the kids were like, "What is this?" They're not accustomed to some of the spices. They are getting a little bit better, but it takes them a little bit. Like some spice they like. I mean, I don't understand how they can eat flaming hot Cheetos, but like Cajun's too hot for them sometimes. I guess it's just like certain flavors. But so the Aquatic Expo, beautiful, February 1st and 2nd. In a very small letters there, it says it is South Carolina, Fort Mills, South Carolina. One time I was right. Just one. Tally it up, put it on the leaderboard. I'm very far behind. But that one's I'm excited for, so we'll see. Welcome in, Zen. Thank you for asking people to hit that like button. Yeah. That show is going to be really cool. I'm excited for the Houston show, mainly because there's also reptiles there, and I don't even know how, like, Grant's going to have to stand at the booth. Oh, wait.
No,
maybe not by himself.
We have Tim.
I'd say maybe, because if Crip's watching, he knows it's a maybe whether he gets there or not. It's not a guarantee.
I hope there's not two airports in Houston.
We don't have to pick him up, right? Oh, man. Crip is honestly, I feel so bad when he has luck trying to get anywhere. And he made it to the last show and we were so lucky to have him. And I just hope he makes it to Houston. It's in Houston, right?
And we had a really good time with Tim too. We were able to take him out to Hot Pot and everything like that, and we were able to go Hot Pot again. And they were probably like, "You're back so soon. We're used to you only coming once a month. What is going on?"
Yeah, well, sometimes we came twice a month. The one time we came by ourselves.
Yeah, like but never like back to back. Like that was within like 6 days.
6 days, and I was wearing the same dress too. I was like, "Yep, this is my Hot Pot dress now." Oh man, but yeah, that one is going to be really cool. I think it's really going to have a fun turnout.
And this is also a good transition into the next thing that I have on our list.
Mm-hmm.
Kapil being here and seeing everything that we've got going on, going to Repticon, seeing Dan the Turtle Man and having a good hour-long conversation, catching up with him, getting involved with the chameleons again. And when people are like trying to explain to me like the like care and everything of chameleons, I'm like, no, don't worry about that. Like I used to breed those before we did shrimp and da 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 da. And then they're like, oh yeah, okay, I've heard that one before. And then the person's like asking me questions, and I'm like, yeah, it's like probably like what 10 months old, and the lady's like, yeah, that's absolutely right. And then from there on, it was no more like, is this person going to be able to take care of it? It's just like, what are you interested in? And I'm like, you're talking to the wrong person now. You need to be talking to the little girl because she needs to make up her mind. Mm-hmm. So just being back in that world again and seeing the caiman lizards. And then the guy that one of our friends at ZoomEd was like, yeah, did you see the newts in the back? And I was like, I did not see the newts. And my whole goal there was to bring home some newts, but they only had Easter newts. And I already had Easter newts, but I was like, there are different varieties of Easter newts. Let me go check them out. They're the same ones we already have. So I came home newtless. But Cayman lizards were definitely getting cheaper than they have been in the past. So I do have a plethora of Colombian ram's horn snails that we picked up from the South Carolina show a couple weeks ago, and they're actually already laying eggs. So once I get those going and they're really breeding outside, and I've got an abundance of those in the cage set up, I'm definitely going to be getting those probably after we get the van. There's going to be no excuses. I'm getting the Cayman lizards. But that is us moving towards the garden of eater and not the garden of shrimp.
I
And
almost left with
Jaden
dart frogs if they had the right ones.
and Jaden also he's very excited with his leopard geckos. We weren't
doing
we
really
weren't
good with
even
them.
in Repticon for 5 minutes, and he had already found the feeder booth and was already asking to buy worms and crickets for his leopard geckos, and talking about how he saw them in the same cave together and how he needed to get the hide. There was a place that did have a really nice 3D printed cave. I really liked that one.
Gardens
However,
of the geckos.
However, we were good friends with Mark at Custom Aquariums, and he says he has something that he'd be willing to send Jaden, and he pimped the kids out with a bunch of t-shirts and stuff like
They're
that,
fighting
and
over
the kids
them.
are fighting over the
'Cause
t-shirts.
there's
So I'm probably
one
gonna
of
have
them that's a snake one.
I'm probably gonna have to ask Mark for another t-shirt and the cave, so that way Jaden can get his shrimp leopard geckos breeding. But Tim did also say that Jaden was doing better at breeding his shrimp than Layla was, and that kind of lit up a fire underneath her. So now she's like, Dad, did you feed my shrimp a little bit more than Jaden's, or what's the deal? How do we get them breeding and get more? I'm like, I do them water changes, Layla.
I think honestly it's to do with the wood in his tank compared to her rocks.
It's definitely a possibility.
Better moss and wood in Jaden's, and Layla's is rocks and plants, and I don't even know if there's moss in her tank.
And also somehow there's a Galaxy Pinto in Jaden's tank. And it must have come with the moss when we first put it in that tank back in February. So it survived 1,000 total dissolved solid our tap water from the Florida State Fair, where it grew up as an infant to a juvenile in our 190 total dissolved solid tap water in Jaden's room. So much hardier than I thought they were. It is stunted in growth, though. For how old it is, it's almost a year old, and it looks like a juvenile. Unless it climbed and did like some Indiana Jones shit where it made its way into the tank from one of the other ones, I don't think that it's been in that tank.
Even S.C. Canahulas knew, of course, of all people, South Carolina. It is just south of Charlotte, so it's but Charlotte's South Carolina, is it not?
No, Charlotte, North Carolina.
I think it's.
Let's get a point back for Grant on this one. Come on, bring it home with a tie for the day.
Charlotte. It is North Carolina.
Let's go.
I lost my point. Bougie Fish said, my little colony of Shelly's pure white lines are doing super well. Just saw a bunch of shrimplets in the tank earlier today. Yes.
Your secondary tank
hear.
is doing really well in Jaden's as well. So they are resilient, hardy little buggers.
In my third tank that you took some and put them by the front door, I think those are doing well too. Yeah, you act like I didn't see it. You know what? You want to hear the funniest thing today? My son is in not so good standing. He is in trouble, and we decided to let him have one candy tonight. He slipped. He was going through the bag, didn't think I was looking because I was feeding the baby, and he goes to walk out, and I said, Jaden, so do you have one candy? He's like, yeah, here's my M&Ms. I was like, no. You're your father's son. Come back here. Let me check them pockets. And he tried to slide a hand and pull out the candy out of his pockets, and then pulls his pockets inside out. And I go, Jaden, let me see them hands. And he opens up his hand, and he had 4 pieces of candy. 4 in his hand. I was very impressed with him. But of course, I had to tell him to put the candy back. It's so funny.
I don't know what happened, but I got busy and I saw
weren't
the
even
first
paying
part of
attention.
that, and then I was like, I believe the kid. Oh man.
I know, he was so sweet when he was doing it. He was like, "No, I just have one. I just have one, Mom." He's too cute. So Danky said, "Do you think it's an LLC? An LLC is necessary? No, as long as if you're just one person running your business, you just need a sole proprietorship. You do need one of those.
An LLC is better for multiple people hiring them and stuff like that.
And if it really depends on what you're selling. If it's just shrimp, but if you start to get into like foods and things like that, and your business starts to get bigger, and you're making an X amount of money every year, you probably do want to go to an LLC. But that's a whole different story. So what I would suggest is that you get a what's the lady you deal with every month for taxes? What are they called? There's a name for them, but I don't remember right now.
PA.
So
Personal accountant.
Yeah, so one of those would actually be able to answer that a little bit better on like because of how much you're making and whether it's worth it or not. But sole proprietorship, if you're just by yourself and you're selling, will definitely be better for you. Got to build them up to them. Genevieve says, someone clipped that. Shelby was right. It's gone. I was already wrong right after. So, happy Veterans Day, everyone. Anyone who did serve as a vet, thank you so much for serving this country. And welcome in, Papa Shrimp. There are 2 large airports in Houston. Wonderful.
Oh, no. Tim, you're just Ubering. I am not trying to find you. Past the glass bridge. Tim, I've passed 5 glass bridges. You need to tell me what terminal you're in. Like, this is unacceptable.
Traumatic, honestly, very traumatic. And I don't remember who. I think it was my mom. My mom had to fly through Texas, Dallas. And I was like, good luck, Mom. Good luck. May peace be with you. I was like, no one speaks English. And my mom's very not good with directions. I take after her with that. So
she ended up not having to go through that.
Yeah, thankfully she didn't have to. But she did have to go through that on the way here, I think. No, I don't know.
Happy Veterans Day, Papa Shrimp.
And Blue Mind Ecosystems. I thought it was South Carolina next year. It's like right over the North Carolina border. Definitely be there. Are either of you one completing in the scaping competition in the Aquatic Expo? I will not be competing in that. I will most likely
be
organizing it with Brandy and figuring out all the logistics for that. So hoping to come with some great product for everyone to be scaping with that. I'm very excited for that one too. That's why I'm the most excited.
Maybe I can judge, but I probably won't participate if she's organizing.
Yeah, no, my kids might. But like, because I probably won't be judging. We'll find some judges or something. Stephen P says the travel gods have a vendetta against him. Yeah, it's something, man. I feel like if I was solo traveling all the time, that would be something. It would always be something for me because I have really bad luck. But I always make sure I'm going with someone. Even when I had to go for my first trip for my business, there was a guy who had been working with West Marine for like over 40 years. I was like, I'm just going to tag along with you. You're going to be my dad for the day. And he was like, sure, sounds good. As she said, if Tim doesn't show up again, I'm there. I'll run the plants again. It was fun. Yes, you were a treat. And thank you so much for that. You hopped right in there like you had been working there forever. Like it was, thank you so much for all that. Yeah, there's 2 airports in Houston, but luckily it's somewhat middle of both. Okay, so hopefully it's not a problem. It was really traumatic, honestly. Heather Green, member for 10 months, at almost a year mark. Yay! Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's getting close.
I think it's bothering her.
It's just a booger.
Yeah.
Eye booger. It takes a little bit to get out. She'll probably be getting hungry here soon. We get distracted really easily by her. I'd love a chameleon. Do you guys actually have chameleons there? Wait, in
Chameleons where?
Australia,
Oh.
right? Yeah, they have them.
Not wild ones, I don't think.
No, I just mean in general. Like, I don't know, the import or exporting of
I'm sure they
chameleons
do.
for them.
I'm sure they got
I don't
some.
know. I'm very not accustomed to other countries. House of Pisces said, I found a smooth newt in Scotland when working. Smooth newt is completely beige, like desert color. So that's cool. Ashley said, definitely going to need some of those Colombian ram's horns. Is that what those are?
Yeah.
Are they even breeding?
Yeah,
They're alive at least.
There's eggs all over one of the mops.
Yeah, throw in some calcium chips here soon.
I have been.
Oh, okay, good.
I've been doing really well with them. I'm trying to bulk them up this winter, and then next summer throw them out into those shrimp tubs as long as there's no cladophora on them. They're all good to go.
Justin said, do you guys have any sales going on with the monster plants?
So everything on the entire website is buy 5, get 2 free. That includes shrimp foods. It includes nets. It's anything, but you must buy 5 of the same items. If you buy 5 different foods, we are not going to throw in 2 free foods for you. However, some of the moss and some of the plants are marked down, just not all of them. I think all of the shrimp are marked down in some way or another, though.
Future magician. I should. He was pretty good with it, honestly. I didn't see him do it. Richard said, Grant, you need to bring him down here to find some veiled chameleons. And Jaden, are we talking about Jaden?
So I actually have some locations for some veiled chameleons now. And then somebody on Facebook said they have a location for some panther chameleons. So
I love these sneaky little humans. They have to try. And then Craig said A for effort. Really, honestly, I was very impressed. Like, I would be too scared at that age to try my parents. Obviously, I do not scare my kids. Especially Jaden. He is
at the same time though, the kid finds $10 in the laundry and is like, "Here, Dad, I found this $10."
Right. I was
Me
very
as a
shocked at
kid,
that.
I'm buying ice cream at school the next day.
All the coins would always go missing with Grant. Like, our kids bring us coins. We did make it with a giant barrel. It says vacation money. So if the kids find coins around the house, they love to run into the room, drop it in dramatically, and they go, vacation money. It is the cutest thing. And Grant already knows he owes us to go back to the ocean and actually have like a good weekend where we can go boogie boarding. My daughter even today was saying that is her top favorite thing now is boogie boarding, because she went boogie boarding for the first time after we left Daytona Aquashella. Blew my
Got interrupted because of the rain.
Yeah, poor rain. It wasn't Grant's fault. I'm just making sure he's obligated. Ashley said, I was very excited that Pisces was sponsoring the expo again. Yes. And they are going to bring some cool stuff. I'm hoping to bring some cool stuff to Pisces and new products. Hopefully we can, they're still in the process of adding things, trying new things. So we'll see. It's really exciting the way things are going. All time will tell with that.
I think Sabu should just have his next show at south of the border.
It's literally like right at the border.
I know, but like at the south of the border thing.
Oh, yeah.
There's like a little reptile
yeah.
and little miniature zoo there, you know. It's just people have to buy that to
try
get
to bring
in.
it back to life. That poor thing looks dead. It looks like you would just. Someone should make a scary movie there, honestly. I would ask those people if I could make a scary movie, and it might bring it back to life. You never know. It's terrifying to look at. Honestly, it looks like trafficking people. That's where they're going. Is that the little thing? If you know, you know. $10 worth of ice cream back then was a lot of ice cream. Yeah.
I think it was still like $2 or $3 per ice cream at the cafeteria, and I definitely wasn't spending it all in one day. I was definitely going for 3 days to get ice cream there.
Yeah. My favorite was Jade. So we found out Jaden had he had a good stash of money. He had been saving up from all the fish meetings, and I don't know what he wanted to buy. Oh, Call of Duty. And we were like, well, why don't you use your money you have? And he goes, well, I don't have any more money. And he's like, I only got like a few bucks. I'm like, where did all that money go? You had like quite a bit saved up. And he's like, I've been buying snacks. He's been buying cookies at school every day. And it just reminded me of his father again, because that's what me and Grant used to do every day. Even if Grant didn't make it to school that day, Grant came to the cafeteria, bought us cookies, and would walk me to I think it was like 5th period.
No, first period.
No, it wasn't. I would not eat
I didn't come to
cookies
school in the middle of the
period.
day.
Yes, you did. To bring me cookies to make it seem like you went to school.
No.
You so did. It was hilarious. It was in the middle of the day because I would not eat cookies at first period. But he walked me to one of my classes. We'd split cookies and then he'd disappear. And I'm pretty sure you just went back home.
No, I'm pretty sure I just stayed
Or
in
stayed
gym the
for
whole
the
day.
gym. Yeah. You got to get the workout in.
Not that kind of gym. Just volleyball and Foursquare. I was very competitive in Foursquare.
Thoughts on your green jade in an outdoor 150-gallon for Houston weather?
So, Daku Aquatics entered some beautiful green jades, and he was not able to stay the entire time and bring them home, and offered them to Shelby, and Shelby did not say no, and we have them now in about 140-gallon outdoor tub here in Florida. And it's going to be very similar to your weather there in Houston. So I would say go for it. And they should do just fine as long as you don't have one of those freak winters that freezes that you had a couple of years ago. So,
And if you do, if it gets like that low, maybe just throw something over the top of it for the night and then make sure you take it off in the morning. So it's just or make sure it's running an air stoner pump in there. Just to keep it a little bit warmer, or just like even a small heater to heat up a little bit. You'll see all of them just like kind of huddle around the heater. So it might keep them alive. And fun fact that Anthony gave them or offered them to me because I said how nice they were. And I wish that we had more. And I want to start more colonies. And I saw how nice his were. And they were all buried. And I was like, well, perfect opportunity.
Anthony's a great guy. I had a long conversation with him. Garcia Aquatics says hello to Shelby and everyone. I just want to let you know, Garcia, that yesterday,
Hi.
Shelby had put this little thing in the little outfit. She's not quite big enough yet for it for a photo, but I was like, oh my God, she is so adorable.
I can't wait till she comes. She'll definitely be ready for it by Christmas time, though. She will be able to fit it.
She's
She was
going too fast.
She was just kind of like dangling, and it was so cute. I put it on her because it was like the warmest thing and right there. So I do appreciate the gifts this weekend. It was so nice to see you. Was that 2 weekends ago now?
Yes.
I'm really, really out of it.
We had very little
The whole week has
downtime.
gone by.
We pretty much spent 4 days
'cause we had people
unpacking
here.
and unsettling, and then before we knew it, we had somebody else coming to the house. So what we spent unpacking and made the house all
Dirty.
not dirty,
Disorganized.
but
It's
there
dirty
you
to
go.
me.
That's a much but a much better way of putting it. And then we had to reorganize the house, get everything put back in order, so that way he could come by. And we had our meeting on Saturday. The meeting was the talk is all we really stayed for, and it was a fantastic talk. But yeah, it's been a week now. Tomorrow I go to golf. I get home from golf. And it's a good day of relaxation, and then it's water change until the entire house is done, hopefully before Houston. do the Houston show, and then get home. And then we've got 2 months till Sabu show and plenty of time to get everything done. And the next thing I want to talk about is what I want to get done before the end of the year. But I do need some help. I've been trying to hunt around for it. I've been asking people who go to different nurseries and stuff like that. And so far, nobody has actually been able to come up with anything. I've looked around online and haven't really found anything that's decent in price or anything like that, because I know how much I spent for it once upon a time. I just can't find that source anymore. So if anybody can find large rolls of landscape fabric, we use the 16-foot long rolls. If it's a place here in Florida that I can get them or have them shipped to the house, even if they're only 8-foot long rolls of landscape fabric or the weed prevention fabric. I'm not looking for the cheap stuff that you can go get at Home Depot and then the weeds grow through it within like a year or two. I'm looking for the stuff that's going to last 10 years so we can finish the entire backyard and start doing more plants in the backyard, because Capil was absolutely amazed by the bins that we had going on. And when I showed him all the room and all the varieties of plants that I want to get for next year, he was like, dude, this is really impressive. And I was like, yeah, it would have already been done by now if the insurance wasn't an issue. And we got home from Aquashella, no insurance envelope or anything like that. So I really want to crank out this winter and get all of my projects done, because every winter I say I'm going to do something and then something happens.
Yeah, I'm honestly sick of hearing it.
I'm going to do it this year, though. It's getting done.
I'm so done with
It's
it.
getting done.
Stephen P. said Lillian did the same thing, burned through so much piggy bank money buying candy and crap at school. It is. I would have done the same thing. I don't blame them. And they said, how long have y'all been dating? We have been dating since I already forgot.
10. It's an easy number.
2010.
Jesus, Shelby, come on.
Getting there. So it'll almost be 15 years in February next year. So we're surviving. I'm messing with you. Ash just said, what air pump do y'all use for the racks? Alitas. It's a little bit better than all the rest.
Baby.
We should make
Oh
those
my
shirts.
goodness gracious. It's not our brand.
I know, but
It would be great
so
for
funny.
them.
They should. They don't advertise at all. Well, yeah, they've just been really good. They're you do have to clean them out once in a while, and I do have it's on Amazon, I believe is where I got them, but they're just like little filter replacements for them and stuff. So I usually try to hint on that one that these have run for quite some time without a change. I usually try to do it once a year. Some of them have lasted like 2 or 3 years where we didn't have to touch them. I just believe that they'll last longer if you take care of that little thing. Are you going to pull something out of my hair?
No.
What are you doing?
What do you mean? What am I
You're
doing?
acting sus back there. Zen said that my hubby and I have been officially been together 22 years tomorrow. That's a feat. This just doesn't
Happy
happen.
anniversary.
Oh yeah, it's tomorrow. Happy anniversary. I'm not all here if you can't tell. Asher said, shall we make a t-shirt for that air pump pun? Yeah. That would be funny.
Are you not going to pull up the new member, or did you already?
Oh. No, I'm blind. I didn't see that. Welcome to the team, Jim, becoming a YouTube member. Thank you so much. You make sure to email us at thegardenofeater@gmail.com. I said Jim, right?
It's Jim, but you said like Gem. I'm going to be honest. I wanted to make sure we did Jim justice and call Jim Jim.
Jim.
But why'd you say you had? You knew you had something in your hair, Jim. For being a member, you get this exclusive holographic TGOE sticker. You also get a 10% off code to our website, TGOE shrimp.com. The
That's for making
10%
fun of
off
me.
code also works right now with our Black Friday sales. So if you're not already a member, it is a great time to capitalize on them great deals. Thanks for joining the team, Jim.
Garcia. Grant, what's your shoe size? Because Lady Shimmy could get you.
Whoa.
golf shoes.
Hold up a second. How did you know that I'm in the middle of repairing my shoes?
I don't know what's going on with him, honestly. Your daddy was loud. She's got like her eyes cracked open trying to figure out who's trying to be this loud, honestly.
I'm not even lying. I'm golfing tomorrow, and my shoe started to peel the last time I played golf, and I was like, oh no, I forgot all about that when I got my stuff together. So I super glued it, and then I had a weight on it. That's why it's all messed up. But I absolutely love these shoes. They look like just regular Adidas. They probably smell. I'm sorry, Shelby.
Adidas, those are
I mean,
nice.
freaking.
He's making
Air
fun of me
Force
this
Ones.
whole
I didn't mean to say
time.
Adidas.
Yeah.
And but no,
Oh.
I am a 11.5 size shoe. If those don't hold up tomorrow, I was definitely going to be in the market for some golf shoes. That's what I was probably going to ask Shelby for Christmas. But yeah, that is crazy that you brought up golf shoes, because I'm literally those look good and glued.
That's so funny.
But
I like-
11.5 would be awesome, or an 11 wide. I'm not actually an 11.5. I just got a really wide foot though.
Are you sure? What size were those?
I'm telling you, I'm an 11.5 wide, or 11.5 or 11 wide.
Stephen P. Really, you hit 22 years this year with Jenna? 22 years? That seems so far away. Like I don't feel like you guys are older than us. You guys are older than us?
The 8, are they 8 years older than us? Steven, are you
God,
42?
There's no way. There's no way. There's no way.
Steven could
That's
be
crazy. 22
41,
years.
and they got together their sophomore year.
Making a 20-year. You know what was really sweet at Grant's uncle got married, and they did this thing at the wedding where if you've been together for so long, you keep dancing, and it ended up going all the way up to 50 plus years. And the only people left on the dance floor, this was all planned, by the way, was his grandparents. And it was just so sweet. And it was an Elvis song, which his grandma loves. It was so cute. I was almost in tears for like the rest of the day. I was like, I can't, no more.
I don't know what to believe now, because Jenna said, yeah, Steven is 42, and then Steven says, I'm 39. We met when I was 17, and I was like, that's still not
Bad,
adding
Jenna.
up, because I'm 32, and I met Shelby when I was 17. So you still, the difference of 14 years and 22 years is 8 years. So you should be 8 years older than me.
222 days. Does
I
she
guess
really
he
know
should
that
be
it's
40.
funny?
I guess that's right. My math is wrong. I'm sorry.
That is funny. That is impressive, though. It really is. Honestly. 39 minus 1.
Minus
30,
17. That's how many years they've been together.
It is 22 then? Yeah. Okay. I'm not good at math. You're the math. I'm with you because you do math in your head. I cannot. I have to go get a piece of paper and write it down if you want me to do math. I know. She said it's about time over. Yep, it is.
All right, so I got 3 more things. Well, we've already talked about one of them. We've already talked about 2 of them. But
Stephen P. Now I don't know how old I am. Don't even ever ask me. You know how many people ask me my age, and I'm like, over 30. That's all you gotta know.
I'll be trying out a new fertilizer this week from Greg Sage. We've got a 2 of the planted tanks that got no shrimp in them or anything like that. And when Greg was over here, he was really adamant about his fertilizer being really an all-around great complete fertilizer and really cheap. So I told him I'd give it a go, but I wanted to kind of let my tanks go the full stretch of what I think they could look like without fertilizer. And I think I got the gist of it. I think a lot of the plants are stunted and not showing the best of growth. They were doing a lot better at first with the fresh aqua soil. They're just not anymore. So I'm going to try out the fertilizer and then see how that does, and then eventually do some CO2 also. I'll be picking your brain more, Steven, on what CO2 kits and stuff like that we should go with. I talked about the Black Friday sales. Everything's buy 5, get 2 free. The Houston show is the first week of December. So if anybody's in the Texas area and would like to do any of the pre-orders or anything like that, we would let you pre-order during our Black Friday sale and then bring those to you to the Houston show. And then also we'll have some Ocean Blues available on the website this week. And then I see we've got one more question.
Mm-hmm. Beauty in the Bud said, I have a rack of 10, 20s, and 40 gallons with a auto water change system. How would you recommend I change the water and how much? I currently run 10 gallons daily for Neos/Caridina.
Honestly, I would do 10 gallons a day. It would be a great, not for a 10-gallon tank, but like a 10% a day would be a great. I honestly feel like the shrimp are from streams that get way more than 100% water change a day, right? So I would be comfortable setting the system up, doing small water changes at first, and then just bumping it up and do bigger and bigger until it doesn't make sense to do that large of water changes anymore. Eventually, the shrimp are not going to be producing anymore. But 50% a week at least is still a great amount to change out, and you should get a lot more breeding out of it that way.
I love this message. Stephen P says, message me anytime at any hour to talk CO2. I just feel like if someone has it, someone needs to make you a shirt that says, I don't like talking much, but I'll talk about CO2.
I'm going to take you up on that. One night it's going to be like 3:30 in the morning. I can't sleep.
Oh, man. It'll be like right after UFC fights or something, and he'd be like, you know what? This is the time. This is the time to message it. I was just like, do you think an Elita 6 LPM is enough for about 10 tanks?
I think that the Elita 15 isn't that much more money, and I would get that just because you could do 10 tanks more comfortably and add on a few more tanks also. But I am a firm believer in the number is like the amount of outlets that should be carried out on the Elita, and you shouldn't really try to do any more than that. You're just usually let down, and you're like trimming some of the flow off of some of the filters for something else. So I would go ahead and get the 15 instead of the 6. I saw
3:30 is my peak mental. I wish.
I gotta wake up tomorrow at like 6.
We are not. I used to be like a really big nighttime person, but for like video games. Now with having to get the kids up for school so early in the morning, night times are not my thing anymore. So I think that was it, right?
Yeah,
we do have 2 minutes.
We got a whole minute that you gotta finish. And
Should I just count to 60?
No, I'm currently trying to figure out the booth situation for Houston show, so we can get that all squared away. Ryan booked a Motel 6, and I looked at it and I was like, this isn't somewhere Shelby's gonna want to stay. So you are now in charge of booking the hotel, and I will get the booth for the show. Maybe you can plan things out with Harley and Tim, and it would be
just not do it.
A lot better. No, we're doing it. We still might do the Ohio cichlid, the OCA.
No, Ashley said, ask every question under the sun in the last minute. No, I promised your family fudge this year. I gotta figure out how to
You're-
make it.
You were saying that, and I was just thinking, man, the OCA, they better have a kitchen in one of those hotel rooms while we're selling shrimp in there. I'm
We are
just
not.
kidding.
Yeah, hotels are not fun to book when you're traveling. 3-star hotels mean different things in different cities, so be warned.
Well, that's it. We've
Show
made it
us
the whole
the
2
baby.
hours. I'll show her the baby. The baby is mine. Yeah.
Eh. No, she said no.
She's so precious. All the hard work every day, she makes it so much worth it. But that's going to be it for this week. Next week, we'll be a little bit more organized. I'll have more to update everybody on, and probably a more mainstream topic to talk about for the first hour. So thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next week.
Have a good night, everybody.